Welcome to Ask a Therapist, a show where qualified therapists stop by to answer all your questions. Hey you, welcome to episode 8 of Ask a Therapist. This is a show by Legally Clueless where you get to send in your questions and a therapist comes on and answers them. It's all part of helping you along your healing journey. In case you don't know, my name is Adele Onyango and I will be your host. So in this season, our therapist is Daisy. She is the lead at ConvoCare, which is a platform she created during COVID when she noticed, man, people do need mental, spiritual, wellness support, and they offer a range of services from individual therapy to group therapy, couple therapy. They also do incredible work when it comes to mental health advocacy. And one thing that caught my attention, I remember it must have been 2021 when I found out about ConvoCare. At the time, they were doing their group therapies in a very beautiful park in Nairobi that's full of greenery and the most beautiful trees. And I just thought, that is the best place to have group therapy, So in case you need some help along your healing journey, if you're feeling like you're not ready for one-on-one therapy, I would say join them for their group therapy sessions. If you feel like you are ready to face all the things that you need to heal from in one-on-one therapy, highly suggested. It's one of the cornerstones of my wellness. Then head over to our show notes. There is an email address and a phone number for you to reach out to the ConvoCare team, set up a consultation date to see whether their therapists and counselors are a good fit for you. If they are, start your healing. In this episode, we're going to be unpacking healing from heartbreak, as well as dealing with highly toxic and abusive parents. And now, let's get right into answering all your questions. On to another episode of Ask a Therapist. We're super happy to have our wonderful Daisy here with us, and she's answering all the questions sent in on our questionnaire form. A link to that is in the show notes.
Yes.
And so one question that was sent was, I broke up with my girlfriend in 2018. I know many years have passed since, but I don't know whether there are signs that I can look out for so that I can know that I've healed or I'm healing. Please advise. Thanks. 2018, yes. That's what? Is that 8 years? No. 7? Listen, guys, me and math. It's a few years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what are there signs to know that, okay, I'm making progress? Yeah.
Yes. So for this, I'm sure they're asking about the grief.
Yeah.
Because once you lose connection with anybody, you go through grief. So the grieving process, with the grief, the intensity can reduce. And so how to notice that you've healed is one with the intensity of emotions. And this is also what I tell my clients in therapy, how to note that therapy is actually helping, is how the intensity of emotions is. So if the first time when you presented the case, it is still how you feel about it is still the same way you feel 5 years down the line, it could mean that maybe the healing process has still a lot of work to do. So number one, the intensity of emotions. How does he feel when he reaches out, when he thinks about that person, when he talks about them, when he meets them, for example, how does he feel? That can be able to tell how far they've come with the healing journey. Also, how they are able to move on with their lives. So when at the first stage of grief, you could find it difficult to continue with your life as usual. So any instance that, for example, something you used to do together could revoke similar feelings. So how are you doing in your current life? Are you able to move on? Is another relationship something you're considering? That could also show how far you have come with the healing journey. Yeah.
That is so interesting. And is there a time frame? I feel like sometimes because of how we're socialized and our education system, we look at healing. Well, maybe this is a me problem that I'm projecting to people, but I look at it and I had to reevaluate that as an Excel sheet.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, by April, this is where we're going to be. And then when I hit April and I'm not there, I feel like a failure, you know? So even saying, you know, we broke up in 2018.
Yeah.
So we've said it's 6 years. Is there a time frame for healing or it's different?
There's no time frame for healing. For different people, it's different. And there are ups and downs. So a trigger could make you feel like you've actually not healed, yet really you have made huge progress. So really there's no set time frame for healing. We all have different journeys in terms of healing, but the intensity of the emotions should be able to tell you how far you have come. Yes.
All right. So the next question we'll take in this episode, how do I mentally reconcile with my dad? He has been alcoholic almost the whole of my life. When drunk, he would abuse me with really bad words. But the one that hit hard was him calling me a whore, stating that I'm not his daughter and even chasing me away from home when I had gone to visit them. He would abuse me so loud that the neighborhood could hear him. This really messed me up. 2 years ago, he made a change of life and accepted salvation. He has been sober, even goes to church, but he never apologized for the hurt he caused or even acknowledged it. Everyone seems to have forgiven him, and it's like nothing happened, but not for me. I downplay, but I am unable to do so when something triggers me. Like he now wants to parade me to the same people who heard him disown me, and worst, expects me to support all his church activities. I feel like he is just the same, just sober this time. How do I move on without getting closure and able to say no when I feel oppressed? Whew, that is a lot.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. I am so sorry to this person for how they are feeling. The fact that your dad is sober does not overlook how you feel emotionally towards him. The fact that he has joined the church does not mean that your emotions also have to go away. So there is a difference between reconciliation and forgiveness. Reconciling is you establishing a new relationship again with your dad. That will only depend on him actually getting to you and having the both of you sit down and resolve the issues. But the fact that he hasn't does not mean that you have to reconcile with him. Again, him getting better and being sober does not overlook the things that he did while he was not sober. So it is valid for you to feel the way you're feeling. Your emotions are valid, and it is important that you validate them yourself. So validate how you're feeling regarding your dad. It is okay for you to feel that way. And again, the difference between reconciliation and forgiveness is majorly for you. So I would advise that they seek forgiving their dad as a way to release themselves from the baggage and from the weight of it. But on whether or not to reconcile with their dad should only depend on whether the dad is going to ask for forgiveness for it. Also, it is important that this person puts up boundaries with their dad. The fact that he has become sober does not mean that she has to be there for him during this time or be involved in the church activities. So put up healthy boundaries with your dad. It's okay for you to say no. It's okay for you to keep away so that you can actually address what you're feeling. Limited time around them so that you do not continuously feel how you're feeling. Also, you could do an exercise like writing a letter to your dad, because again, he might not ever apologize. But healing is for you. So I would advise that you write a letter to your dad, mainly so that it can help you find closure, because closure is within you. So write a letter to your dad expressing how you feel, how you felt about the words that he said to you, how they have affected you, and also work on building your self-worth. Because if a trusting relationship with your dad would mean that if trust is broken, your self-worth is shaken. So I would advise that you work on rebuilding your self-worth, finding yourself and loving yourself, so that this relationship does not affect the person that you are.
And it's such an important question, because I feel like very many African families move this way.
Yes.
Like if something has happened, there's no acknowledging it, no apologies. We just move.
Yes. we move regardless.
We move regardless. And it's just like, that is very unfair. I hope this episode gave you insights that can help you on your healing journey. Remember to send in your questions via our question form. There's a link to it in the show notes. Episodes of Ask a Therapist go out every single Friday. And if you resonated with this episode, please give us a 5-star rating. And most importantly, share it with your friends, even your enemies. And drop us a comment if there's something you learned from Daisy. That's all for this episode. If you have a question to ask a therapist, please drop it in our question form. A link to it is in the show notes. Catch you next week for the next episode of Ask a Therapist.